Being alone isn't what you think it is. It can actually be leveraged into your favour. See, the truth is, most people are afraid of being alone, and they avoid it and distract themselves from it. They fill every quiet moment with noise, because being alone feels uncomfortable. But what if that discomfort is actually the moment where real change happens? See, there's a distinction that a lot of people miss. Being alone and feeling lonely are not the same thing. Loneliness is painful. It's the feeling of lacking connection. But solitude is something completely different. Solitude is being alone by choice. And when you learn how to use it properly, it can quietly become one of the most powerful things in your life. Let's strip this back further and break down the true difference between solitude and loneliness. See, where loneliness is the feeling of emptiness, it feels like something is missing. Like you might need other people to feel complete. And so it's coming from a place of lack. Like you're lacking something, someone, and some sort of feeling. Whereas on the other hand, solitude doesn't come from that place of lack. It comes from presence. It's more so the ability to sit with yourself without needing constant distraction. And in a world where we're constantly surrounded by noise and distractions, that ability is becoming increasingly rare. And so solitude is the rarer form of being alone. It is a choice, but often taken in an opportunity to further one's life. We all experience some form of loneliness throughout our lives, and the best way I like to describe it is it comes as waves. It typically comes and goes. Like, for example, you might start a new school, you feel particularly lonely at first, but then, as you meet people, make new friends, it lessens, and now you're in a place of fulfillment, abundance. But this is a very normal human experience, but there are particular cases where loneliness doesn't work like this, and it's a very strange way of describing it, but I've personally experienced this, as have a few others, where you have friends and you have people to spend time with, whether that be family as well, and basically in a room full of those people, your friends and family, deep down internally you still feel lonely. There's just something missing. And yeah, like I said, I've experienced this before, and it is a sickening feeling. You don't know where to go from there. You don't know what you're missing. It's hard to pinpoint exactly what it is, but you just have that feeling of emptiness. And it can truly harm your mental health. So that type of loneliness is one that you must avoid, and there are a few ways to do so. It's mainly in just trying to maintain your mental health in all the ways that I've spoken about before, and I'll just retouch on right now. So, look after your self-image, your self-talk. That's really key. Positive self-talk is integral for your mental health. Getting a little bit of exercise done is very good. Just a brisk walk can really help your mental. And maintaining social connections. Even if you're feeling lonely and therefore not really having a desire to take place in social activities, I think forcing yourself to do it, you realise after that as humans we yearn for social connection. And so you really should look for that if you're feeling lonely. It sounds like the most obvious step, but you really should, because it will elevate your mental health. And as soon as your mental health is elevated, you stop thinking about, your problems and the things going wrong. And when you're in that room full of people, you feel more present. And when you're present and you're not in your own head, you no longer feel lonely. Because, in a way, when you're in that room feeling lonely, full of friends and family, it's because you just have the burden of your own mind, and no one else is sharing that. And therefore you feel lonely, because you're the only one in your mind. You basically just want someone to sort of share the burden and know what you're feeling. That's why also social groups of people who are experiencing similar things are really, really powerful communities where people can talk through similar like-minded problems. You see all these Reddit groups of people who are going through the same thing and supporting one another. These are great things to support your mental health and help you feel less alone in whatever scenario you're going through. And so I maintain the stance that, feeling alone and lonely is something we need to try and eliminate. We can't be having that because it just negatively affects your life. But I really do believe that choosing solitude can sometimes be a superpower. It can really benefit your life, help you grow and elevate you. See, I've experienced solitude, and it's been self-chosen in a time of my life where I really want to kick on, make some progress, do things. I sat down and thought, you know what, I could do these things and go out with friends, go to family gatherings, do this, do that, but I need to lock in, and I need to realise that these years of my life shape the rest of my life. So there'll be time for social gatherings, for parties, for clubs, for all these activities. So don't be sort of forcing yourself to do it all now. I know they're the people that say live life like tomorrow is your last and those sort of things, and I agree to that too. But at the end of the day, we still need to look long term and realise that locking in sometimes is what gets you to your goals. If you lived every life like it was your last, you would get nowhere. You would literally just end up partying, doing drugs and other explicit things, and you wouldn't further your life. You want to find the perfect balance between living your life and growing your life, and that's why self-chosen solitude is almost taking your own responsibility, decision on how you play that balance. You decide, look, I'm going to lock myself in, not literally, but I'm going to be in my room, work on my side hustle, or whatever it is, your project, your creative project, creative outlet, and you just go for it. You just go every day of the week, every work day, 5 days. You don't see people, you don't see colleagues, and you really give all your time and effort into that. And then on the weekend, like a typical person would, just let off the gas a bit, and therefore you still strike that perfect balance. But that solitude that you're putting yourself in throughout the week can really elevate your life, trust me. And when you start, you might feel a bit alone and uncomfortable in your room, working 8, 9, 10 hours a day on your dream, on your passion. But you've got to remember why. What's in it for you? What are you striving for? And that will hopefully really guide you through the feeling of uncomfort, because you realise, it's bigger than you. It's bigger than what you're feeling right now. You're building something for the future so that you can enjoy your life, and maybe even think longer term than that. Think about your kids and your kids' kids. If you build something, big enough legacy, then you really can benefit them too. So that will help guide you through that feeling of uncomfort that you get when you're alone for extended periods of time. But I really do stress that with this, you can't start getting complacent and thinking that you are the best already. You need to actually apply the solitude, because anyone can choose solitude and waste that time. So apply yourself, do what needs to be done in that solitude, and you will thank me for it. I'm going to try and break down the main differences for you. So essentially it's a balancing act, and it is learning who you are. That is the end goal of this solitude. Because when you're constantly around other people, you can really lose track of who you actually are. You adapt and adjust to the people you spend time with. You become a version of yourself that fits into your environment and in that community. But when you're alone, there's nothing left to hide behind. There's no longer distractions or expectations. It's just you. And that's where something really important happens. You start to understand yourself, what you enjoy, and what you think on a day-to-day basis, and what you actually want from life. And so, this really shows that a bit of solitude can help you learn who you are and elevate your goals. And therefore, once you know who you are a bit better and understand the goals that you want in life, you really start to accept yourself. You can really draw some confidence, not just loud confidence or performative, but just a quiet self-assurance, the kind that doesn't depend on validation from other people, because you've already spent time with yourself and you've learned that you're okay on your own. You're confident being alone and working on those goals alone and getting to that destination alone. You have the confidence that it can be done and that you're going to do it. And it's this confidence that just sort of breeds this mental clarity for you. It gives you pure clarity, because when you're constantly surrounded by noise, other people's opinions, conversations, and just general distractions, your mind never really gets a chance to slow all the way down. But when you're alone consistently, things become quieter. You get the ability to think for yourself, process your own problems, and work through them all properly. And over time, that clarity really can compound, and you start to make better decisions. You start understanding your own life even more clearly. And with that better clarity, better decisions can be made, and you can grow even more. This growth can be seen in so many different facets of your life, but I really think that it can be seen in a key area. And for young adults, this is independence. Because as you grow older, you need to at some point learn to stop relying on others and to rely on yourself. Just basic things, day-to-day things, sort of learning to live without your parents, basically. But not just that, but you start to learn that if you're not emotionally isolating yourself, you really can become someone who can stand on their own, making your own decisions, feeling the things you want to feel, basically having a free range of emotions. So therefore you have your own control over your life. And solitude really gives you the space to do that. So I just want to leave you with some last thoughts. I want to just sort of reframe it for you. The bottom line is that being alone isn't the problem. The problem is how we think about it. We've been conditioned to see being alone as something negative, something to avoid. But once you shift your perspective, as I've tried to help you with today, it becomes something else entirely. It becomes time. It gives you time to think, time to grow, and it gives you clarity and time to understand yourself. And with all this, I guarantee you are better equipped to reach your goals, no matter what type of goals they are. If you want to be a social personality on the internet, have a TV show, comedy, I guarantee locking in, giving yourself moments of solitude will still benefit you, even if you think your end goal or destination is to be someone who's sociable, who understands people. You're not losing the ability to understand people, you're just giving yourself the space to develop your craft. And so maybe being alone isn't something that you should be running from. Maybe it's something you should learn to use more. Because when you're comfortable being alone, you stop needing constant validation. You stop chasing distractions, and you stop losing yourself in other people's lives, and instead you simply start building your own, quietly, in an independent manner, and on your own terms. Thank you so much for watching. I want to remind you to leave a like, subscribe, and don't be scared to drop a comment, because I'm always reading them and I will reply to all my subscribers. So again, thank you so much for watching, taking time out of your day to watch what I have to say, and I'll see you guys in the next.